Right then guys, how's it going, and welcome back to your Premier League predictions, the series where you guys go up against me to see who can get the most correct predictions for the upcoming weekend of Premier League football. I hope you guys are all enjoying the international break. England are actually playing tomorrow night, so I know we are still kind of in the middle of the international break. We're a little bit early for the Premier League fixtures, but I thought I'd be organised for a change. And as always, thank you to everyone who got involved in the last video, who predicted on the last weekend of Premier League games. I did okay. I mean, I got 6 correct outcomes, but I only got 1 correct score, which isn't great. Again, thank you to everyone who got involved. I think there was about 10 to 15 people who got 2 correct scores. But this week's winners with 3 correct scores, and there's 5 of them, it is Solomon, Tom, Sammy, Adnan, and Paul. So well done to all you guys. Again, thank you for getting involved. The only people to get 3 correct scores on the last weekend of games. And remember, if you want to be shouted out in my next predictions video, be sure to get your predictions down in the comments below for every Premier League game coming up this weekend. But as always, we will go through those games now. Start things off on the Saturday at 12:30, and it's on BT Sport. We have got Crystal Palace taking on Spurs. Crystal Palace currently sitting in 14th place after their first 3 games. They lost against Chelsea in the opening fixture, but then have drawn against Brentford and most recently against West Ham. 2-2 in that game. They were actually behind twice and came back twice to get what I would say is a pretty good point. And then we've got Spurs, who are sitting top of the league after their first 3 games. The only team to have won all 3 of their first 3 games as well. And I've got to say, I've predicted them to win their 4th Premier League game in a row. I think they did actually lose a Europa League game, so they're not undefeated this season. But they are in the Premier League, and I think they will continue that this weekend with a 1-0 win against Crystal Palace. Moving on to the first 3 o'clock kickoff, we have got Arsenal taking on Norwich. Now, if you told me that Norwich were sitting second bottom after their first 3 games, I probably would have believed you. If you told me that Arsenal were sitting bottom of the league after their first 3 games, I probably wouldn't have believed you. It's only 3 games in, but Arsenal have... Well, neither team have had a good start. They've both lost all 3 of the first games. Obviously, Arsenal are getting it a little bit on social media and everything else, just because, you know, they aren't a team you would expect to be losing the first 3 games of the season. Now taking on Norwich, I think coming in after the international break, they really need to start afresh from this weekend and make a good go of it. I mean, I know there's a lot of chat about Arteta, and I mean, I don't watch Arsenal closely enough to really comment, but I mean, he must be in the firing line at the moment. And you've got to think, if they don't get 3 points from this one, they're going to have to change something. I've got 1-1. I mean, I think it could go either way, just because of the fact that Arsenal are not in a great place right now. Confidence and everything else must be so low. I could see Norwich potentially really going for it and maybe nicking something here. But on the other hand, Arsenal have got such a good variety of players on that side. I mean, if Aubameyang turns up, he could score a hat-trick and Arsenal could win 3-0. So I've just stuck a 1-1 on it. But let me know what you think down below. Moving on to the next 3 o'clock game, we have got Brentford taking on Brighton. We've just talked about 2 teams who didn't have a good start of the season. These 2 teams have both had a really good start of the season. Brentford, coming up as a promoted side, are still undefeated in their first 3 games, with again, a great win against Arsenal first game of the season, and then a very good draw in their last game against Villa as well. Taking on Brighton, who are sitting in 8th place after their first 3 games. They won their first 2 games and then lost against Everton in their last game 2-0. I've gone 1-1. Again, 2 teams who have both started relatively similar, both doing well so far. Again, it could go either way. So I've stuck it. And there was loads of draws last weekend, so I think there could well be this time. Moving on again, another 3 o'clock kickoff. This time it is Leicester taking on Manchester City. So Leicester, again, a good start. They've won 2, they've lost 1. They beat Wolves, they lost against West Ham, but they did have a red card in that game. Perez did get sent off, so it's always going to be a struggle there. And then they bounced back and beat Norwich 2-1, taking on Manchester City, who lost their first game against Spurs, which again I think surprised a few people, but have definitely tried to make up for it after beating both Norwich and Arsenal 5-0 in their following 2 games. So the question is Man City going to score another 5 against Leicester? I don't think so. I think this game could be very close, but I have still nudged it to Manchester City. I've gone 2-1. I think Leicester have definitely got the capabilities of getting something from this game, definitely getting a goal, but I've nudged it that way. Next up again, 3 o'clock kickoff, we have got Manchester United taking on Newcastle. Even as a Newcastle fan, this is the score I hesitated the least to put a number down, and I've just gone 3-0 Manchester United. I honestly cannot see any other scoreline. It could be more. Ronaldo's returning. Who else would he play on his comeback to the Premier League? It had to be Newcastle, and he's going to get a hat-trick. You know, it's just the way it is. Newcastle have been useless. We're playing 5 at the back, and we look more vulnerable with 5 than we did with 4. It is such a mess right now. The only thing I can think is because, I mean, even the Manchester United players must be walking out there just assuming they're going to score 5. So the only thing I can think is that if we really give it a good go, we might shock some people, but I just can't see it happening. The best we can do is defend and hope for a 0-0. Wilson's injury, he came off early in the last game. It looks like that could be more serious than first thought. So not only are we playing 5 at the back, we're not even going to have anyone to play up front. So I can't see us scoring. 3-0 Manchester United. Moving on to another 3 o'clock game, we've got Southampton taking on West Ham. Southampton 13th place after their first 3. They lost against Everton in the first game, got a good draw against Manchester United in the second game before drawing against Newcastle in the last game as well. Taking on West Ham, who have had a very good start to the season, currently sitting in second place, won the first 2 and then drew against Crystal Palace 2-2 in their last game. West Ham have been putting the goals away. Antonio and Ben Rama have looked amazing, and I think they may well put a few more in this game as well. I mean, it's not to say that Southampton haven't looked half decent. I mean, 2 draws so far. They can put the ball in the net too. So I've gone 3-1 West Ham for that one. And then moving on to the final 3 o'clock kickoff, we have got Watford taking on Wolves. Watford sitting in 12th after their first 3 games. They beat Villa in their first game, which I think shocked a few people. It shocked me. I mean, Villa are I know they haven't got Grealish anymore, but still some very good players there. So a great start to the season with that win, but then going on to lose against Brighton, who again have started well, and then against Spurs, who have won all their games. Taking on Wolves, and again, you know, I do watch a lot of football. I try and keep up with it, with all teams, to be honest. But even today when I was doing this, I was quite shocked to see that Wolves are in 18th place, and they've lost all 3 of their first games as well. I was less surprised when I saw it was against Leicester, Spurs and Manchester United. So they have not had an easy start to the season, if we're being honest. Now taking on a promoted side. Is this their chance to get their first point or 3 points on the board? Now, again, I haven't seen a lot of Wolves. All I'm looking at is the fact that they haven't won yet. So I'm going to take it off a bit of a confidence way, and I'm going to put it 1-0 to Watford. Moving on to the 5:30 on Saturday now, and this one's on Sky. We have got Chelsea taking on Aston Villa. So as Chelsea started off in a great way, winning their first 2 games. Obviously, Lukaku came in and played Arsenal off the pitch, to be honest. They then drew their last game against Chelsea 1-1. Lukaku didn't quite have the impact in that game, but again, it was against, Van Dijk, slightly tougher defence. Can he do a little bit better against Villa and get a few goals? Aston Villa, again, sitting in 11th place. They're the only team in the league so far who have won one, drawn one, and lost one. Again, they have been scoring goals too. I've gone Chelsea 2-1. Would not surprise me to see Ings get on the score sheet. And again, you know, without Grealish, they are still looking good enough to create chances and score goals. However, what Tuchel has done with Chelsea just seems pretty incredible, to be honest. And I think they are going to have a very good season this season. I'm not going to speak too soon. Is it enough to win the league? Maybe. I think they definitely have a shout. I think Man City are very good, and it'll be interesting to see what Manchester United do with Ronaldo as well. But for that one, I've gone 2-1 Chelsea. Moving on to the Sunday game now at 4:30 on Sky. We have got Leeds taking on Liverpool. Leeds lost their opening game of the season against Manchester United, but have since drawn against Everton 2-2 and then drew 1-1 against Burnley. So a loss and 2 draws. Liverpool are in 5th after their first 3 games. They won their first 2 and then drew against Chelsea in their last game. Now, I think this could be goals galore, hopefully. I mean, talking about 2 teams who press high and attack well, it's definitely these 2. So far, Leeds have scored 4 and conceded 8 in 3 games. Liverpool have scored 6 and conceded 1 in their first 3 games. So 10 goals between them in their first 3 games isn't bad going. And I'm hoping we'll see a few more. Now, as I said, Leeds, as much as they score, they concede as well, and Liverpool can keep it a bit tighter at the back. So I've gone high scoring, and I've edged it at Liverpool. I've gone 3-2 in that one. And then moving on to the final game of, it's not the weekend because it's Monday night at 8 o'clock on Sky. We have got Everton taking on Burnley. So Everton, again, another team with a good start, sitting in 6th place. Win their first game against Southampton, drew against Leeds, and then beat Brighton. Obviously, Rafa Benitez, one thing you know he can do is set up a defence, but it looks like he's got them scoring some goals as well. And as a Newcastle fan who is distraught at how bad our summer transfer window has been, again, we brought in Willock, 25 million. But the fact that Everton have spent 1.2 million and brought in 4 or so players, including Rondon on a free, who I would have had back in a heartbeat, is actually destroying. So we'll have to see how he does in the league. If he gets it, I mean, again, you've already got Calvert-Lewin. Rondon's obviously a backup, but I mean, on a free, I mean, just people through the door. I'll have anyone at this point. Taking on Burnley, who are sitting in 16th place. Lost against Brighton, lost against Liverpool, got their first point on the board when they drew against Leeds. I've gone 2-0 Everton. As I say, they've been scoring goals, and it looks like they've definitely started the season well. We'll have to see whether they can carry it on until the end. I think Burnley is another team in there who are going to have a tough season. But that is it, and those are all of my predictions up there for this weekend's Premier League games. Be sure to get your predictions for all of those games down in the comments below. As always, I will go through all of your games before the first game kicks off, which is on Saturday at 12:30. So you've got, well, as I say, I've done it early this week, so you've got all the Tuesday, all the Wednesday, all the Thursday, all the Friday, and Saturday morning to get your predictions in. And then, as I say, at 12:30 on Saturday, when Crystal Palace Spurs kicks off, I'll make a note of all of your scores, and then I will be back to shout out the winner in my next predictions video next week. So be sure to look out for that one as well. But that is it. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Have a great week. Fingers crossed for England tomorrow. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.